SIDS is the sudden death of an apparently healthy infant under 1 year of age. It affects about 100 babies each year in the state of Missouri and 4,000 in the United States annually, including 2 families in the St. Louis area who had been friends for a decade prior to sharing this tragedy.
What I remember about the day that Sydney became an angel, left her with the babysitter, went about my day at work, got so consumed with school and that I still feel guilty because I don't think I thought about her enough that day. And I remember at 2:45 looking at the clock, seeing that it was time to go get her, and I was so excited I couldn't wait to go get her and my son. And as we were pulling around the corner in the subdivision, I turned the corner to a fire truck, police, and ambulance, and immediately my heart sunk to my feet. And within seconds, I was surrounded by emergency personnel and asked me if I was Nadine, and then I immediately knew something had gone wrong. They told me that she had laid down for an afternoon nap and did not wake up. I remember just, no, that can't be right. I don't think I cried. I was just in disbelief. I wanted to see her. And I remember that we couldn't get into the house until the medical examiner showed up, and the medical examiner was stuck in traffic at the time. And then I remember going in and getting to hold her, and I'll never forget it. She was not the Sydney that I had dropped off that morning.
What I remember about the day Sydney passed away, everything was just a big blur and a big shock. I just got home. It wasn't a couple minutes after I hung up the phone that the police were at the front door, and they asked me to sit down and were going to tell me something. I couldn't think what. I just talked to Nadine. Nothing could happen that quick, that they were there that fast. And they said, "It's not them, it's your daughter." They said she passed. And all I could think about was Nadine's on her way there and she doesn't know. So they said they'd take me there, and we sat in an ambulance for an hour. We finally got a hold of her, and I remember asking her to smile. From there it's a blur.
The day Lola passed, I got a phone call from the sheriff's department at work stating that Lola was en route to Barn St. Peter's. Only question I kept asking was she breathing? And he wouldn't answer me. So a girl from my work drove me to Barn St. Peter's, and the whole time that I was driving to the hospital, I was thinking, this is not happening to me. I don't remember what I thought was wrong with her, but I never dreamt that she wouldn't go home with us. I remember thinking while we were holding her that this is so wrong, that I couldn't believe this was happening to us, and that we had the perfect family.
I had taken her to the babysitter, just like I did every day, and went to work, and it was a little before noon. I got a call from Dion that the sheriff's department called and that she was en route in an ambulance to the hospital. When I pulled up to the hospital, I kind of just threw the car in park. When I walked in, there were probably 4 or 5 doctors, nurses all around her, trying to revive her. Shortly after she passed, I walked down one of the hallways by an open area of the emergency room. There was a lot of staff there, nurses, doctors, and I could just feel every single person in that room staring at me. And I was shaking. I mean, I walked into any parent's worst nightmare. It's the worst day of my life.
In my work as a medical examiner, I have learned that there is no loss that is nearly as great as the loss of a child. There is nothing that compares with that. So what I'd like to just talk about very briefly is how to prevent that. Currently, we know that approximately 82% of children who die in the category of what used to be called sudden infant death are actually preventable deaths. Those are children dying from suffocation from what we call rebreathing because of being placed in unsafe sleeping positions. An unsafe breathing circumstance is anything where the child could be placed on an adult bed, sleeping with other individuals, even other children, sleeping on a couch, even sleeping in a crib, but where there is a pillow or billowy material that might get up against the face of the child so they can't freely move air in and out of their nose and mouth. The only safe place for a young baby to sleep is in a crib on its back where there is no comforter or large blanket or pillow.
A few measures that one can take to help prevent SIDS from happening, one, always have the child sleep on their back, never on their side or on their front. Always use a safety-approved crib mattress with a fitted sheet. Never smoke around the child or have the child in a smoking environment. Never have any soft toys or items in the crib with the child, for example, pillows or blankets. Always keep the child's sleeping area separate from the parents so that the parents are not sleeping with the child. And lastly, never use safety devices that claim to help reduce the risk of SIDS.
Unfortunately, we cannot expect to prevent all SIDS deaths, but with awareness and knowledge, you have the ability to greatly reduce your baby's risk. Remember the ABCs of safe sleep. Babies sleep safest alone, on their backs, in their cribs. I meet the nicest people for the worst reasons, and I would love to be out of a job. Please remember the ABCs of safe sleep.